Good afternoon, and welcome to the crosstown traffic capital of the world. The convergence of the UN General Assembly, the Bloomberg Global Business Forum, and New York City's streets is the perfect illustration of what we're here to talk about today. Every year, the world's foremost political and business leaders gather in New York to discuss the global economy, sustainability, and technology, and every year, New York City's streets grind to a halt. And it's a reminder that for all of the talk about the global information age, cities and streets worldwide are still running on analog technology. Not in the cool sense like we're spinning vinyl, but more like we're spinning our wheels with the transportation equivalent of smoke signals. The technology that cities use to measure and manage streets has not evolved as fast as the mobility industry has. Even today, collecting data often means somebody standing on a corner with a clicker, counting cars, or driving from point A to point B with a stopwatch, which is not exactly high tech. Today, there is more data collected on a single street than we collected for entire cities just a few years ago. But every tech-enabled vehicle, from dockless bikes to e-hail to microtransit, is a private sector data trove that cities can't log into. They've been left planning blind while companies amassed better data on traffic patterns than city planners had. And in this age of digital mobility, code is the new concrete. And we've done a lot over the last decade to update the hardware on our streets for active mobility. Now we need to update the software on our streets. Just a few months ago, under Mike Bloomberg's leadership, Bloomberg Philanthropies, the National Association of City Transportation Officials, and the Open Transport Partnership announced a solution to bridge this divide. That solution is Shared Streets, a platform for sharing, understanding transportation data. It fosters collaboration between cities and companies to build better streets and to build better cities. When you think about it, back in the old days, like 2017, even when cities and companies wanted to collaborate and share data, there was no agreed upon way to do it. And without a shared standard, every data transaction becomes its own time-consuming process, limiting the potential that public-private partnerships can provide. Shared Streets provides a new universal language for sharing information about city streets. It's a shared base map that the whole world can agree on and build on. Cities can access the information they need to keep people moving and to keep people safe. And companies can build off this shared understanding of the street without having to develop different data structures for cities around the country and around the world. That's how we got a growing network of cities on board and why we have a groundbreaking partnership to announce. And let me thank a few people who made it possible. Ford's Jim Hackett, Uber's Dara Khosrowshahi, and I practice, and Lyft's John Zimmer. They have all been pioneers in funding and founding this new Shared Street partnership. They're the first of many to come, and they're steering their companies in a new direction, working with cities to solve issues instead of working around them. Ford is creating a data standard to manage and price the curve to reduce congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. Uber is working to identify streets with dangerous speeding and to help prevent traffic crashes before they happen. And Uber and Lyft are sharing unprecedented data on pickup and drop-offs so cities can design more efficient streets that work better for everyone, no matter how they get around. This partnership is the equivalent of hitting the update button on our cities. Thanks to these tools, the Shared Streets platform will help prepare cities for the future of transportation, which in many ways is already here with us today. Thank you.
Welcoming to the stage now, Ford CEO James Hackett.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, thank you. It was August of 2017 when I got to meet Jeanette at the City of Tomorrow conference in San Francisco. It was a great day because I didn't know that I would find someone in the public sector who was thinking in such an advanced way like we were at Ford. You see, there was a confluence of three things that were happening in our background. There's the arrival of new propulsion systems like electric vehicles. Cities really want those. There was the development and work on robotic vehicles. The two folks following me today at Uber and Lyft are really interested in the development of that capability. And a third capability, not so well known, is the cloud capability that helps the city have the potential to see all these objects work in a harmonized way. So it was an exciting moment to see this, and so Ford is happy to announce that we're joining in a partnership with NACTO, the Open Transport Partnership, and Bloomberg Philanthropies to develop this universal data standard for streets. Now, this isn't a Jim Hackett or a new idea of Ford. In fact, Bill Ford talked about this at a seminal TED Talk in 2011, where he said that for us to have a better future, we've got to design a new sustainable form of transportation. I'm really proud of the association with Mike Bloomberg. I think that he brings a catalyst of energy, intelligence, and networks of folks to this, and he's continually shown us that he gets things done. We're also pleased to work with these two great companies in Uber and Lyft. Both of them are future customers of Ford Motor Vehicles, and this builds on our work that we've had in piloting self-driving vehicles. In fact, you heard a moment ago from Jeanette that the shared streets idea is already starting to pay off. There's a notion called curb management. When you think about a vehicle adjacent to the curb, it's kind of there randomly. You're not sure when it's going to leave, how long it's going to stay. So we're combining the shared streets understanding of the road and our understanding of curb space management in London, UK right now. We're working with the city. They use it as a revenue generation idea. Of course, it helps reduce congestion. And guess what? One of the biggest payoffs is it helps reduce CO2 emissions. So thanks again, Jeanette, for dreaming about this and including Ford. And I will now turn it over to Dara.
Welcoming to the stage now, Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi.
Thank you very much, Jeanette and Bloomberg, for hosting us here and convening this event. We're very excited here to reinforce our commitment to sharing data and insights with cities. Just as personal car ownership has a fundamental impact on mobility in the last century, new forms of transportation are spurring another revolution, one that comes with its own set of challenges and opportunities. Today, we're at an inflection point when the private and public sectors need to come together and collaborate on ways to create smarter, safer, and more efficient ways of getting people from A to B. As more people have come to rely on Uber and like services, we've become an important part of the transportation fabric of cities. With that comes a responsibility, and we recognize that we need to step up and support cities that have taken bold steps to improve their transportation problems. We're in a unique position to have a meaningful and positive impact on the communities we serve across the globe, and that's a responsibility that we do not take lightly. Take our city streets. As we know, we can't manage what you don't measure. You've got to measure before you manage. And when it comes to measuring how streets are being used, many cities lack easy, accessible data on street speeds, critical data set for any transportation analysis. It's no secret that designing smart, targeted transport policy is very difficult, if not impossible, with the absence of data. That's why we're excited to be a part of these announcements to help solve the problems. We're stepping up to provide funding of Shared Streets as a founding member. We think Shared Streets is the perfect venue to help co-create standards for how organizations, both public and private, can share data that improves our public streets and transportation within cities. But our commitment to the project runs deeper than financial support. We're also announcing that we'll be sharing fine-grade road speed data with cities using a data standard that we're building in partnership with Shared Streets. This is exactly the data set that many cities have been asking for, and we're thrilled to be able to bring it to life. And just to make clear, data will be provided free of charge. This is not data that we're monetizing. This is data that we want to work in partnership in order to improve transportation in cities. While this is our biggest effort to date, it isn't the first time that we've worked together. We've had a history of working together with Shared Street. Ultimately, data is just a means to an end. In a place like New York, this data can underpin congestion management policies, such as congestion pricing, where everyone pays a fair fee to access and use the streets of a congested core, and supplies much needed revenue to vital public transportation systems, such as the subway system here. The fine-grained road data speed we're sharing here can also be the underpinning of redesigning streets to enhance safety or implement policies like dedicated lanes for transit and bikes. Ultimately, these are all policies that we as a company actively support. We're excited to be a partner to public agencies around the world in building more sustainable and livable cities. Thank you.
And now, co-founder and president of Lyft, John Zimmer.
Thanks for having me. My co-founder, Logan, and I feel an immense responsibility for the impact that Lyft will have on our cities. Our life's work began about 10 years ago and has been to lead a shift away from cities designed around cars and into cities designed around people. Lyft began as the first peer-to-peer ride-sharing service, and soon thereafter, the team pioneered shared rides. Today, we're investing in multimodal options, including our recent launch of bikes, scooters, and transit integration. We know we can't do this alone. Public and private partnership is essential to making sure our streets and transit systems are safe, equitable, and sustainable. We're excited to work with Shared Streets, NACTO, Jeanette, to facilitate data-driven city planning across the country. Through Shared Streets, Lyft will provide cities with data on pickup and drop-off locations to understand areas of high demand. The data will be aggregated and anonymized to protect user privacy. We will share these insights with cities so that together we can plan for appropriate curb space, multimodal mobility hubs, and additional tools that increase traffic flow. Designing streets that best reflect how people actually use them. Collaborating with policymakers and local officials on initiatives like this is absolutely critical and has been part of our approach from the beginning. Today we work with more than 50 cities and transit agencies, including Denver, Atlanta, Dallas, Seattle, and San Francisco, where we coordinate safe pickups in support of Vision Zero, and Boston, where we provide on-demand transportation to the city's paratransit customers. The future of transportation is most exciting when there are strong public and private partnerships, and today's announcement is a fantastic step forward. Lyft started with a core set of values. We know we are in a unique position to drive positive change. Today's initiative is part of a broader work to make our cities more sustainable and hospitable. Earlier this year, we dedicated Lyft's ongoing sustainability work, our Green Cities initiative, to the memory of my mentor and former professor, Rob Young. Through that program, we made all Lyft rides carbon neutral through the direct funding of emission mitigation efforts, and Lyft has become one of the world's largest voluntary purchasers of carbon offsets. Today's Shared Streets announcement is particularly meaningful to both Kevin Webb, who's the director of Shared Streets, and me, because we recently found out that Rob and his course, Green Cities, was a key inspiration to each of us. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to redesign our cities around people and not cars. And as a new father, I'm more motivated than ever. And it's up to all of us as parents, as entrepreneurs, and as global citizens to bring this vision forward.